I was able to like manage having all of his specialty care, not missing an appointment unless we really have to reschedule if he is really sick. And that's one thing, like, that's why I really love about Ability Innovation is that they understand our situation. You know, they don't just brush us off. And that's what I'm very thankful for as therapists, because they see us work too. It's like, you know, we put in the work as well. We don't just like be like, oh yeah, like, you know, like what's convenient for us. No, it's never about what's convenient for us parents. Like, we want to do what's best for our child.
Welcome back to Therapy Unmasked, and we're here with who we lovingly call Singh's parents, but I'll let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. But we are so grateful to have you guys here with us and to learn a little bit more about you guys and Singh.
Thanks for having us, Nick. We are so honored to be here. I'm Elaine, and I'm Singh's mom.
And my name is Nihn, and I'm Singh's dad.
Well, thank you guys for coming. Yeah. We wanted to just start off by asking you guys about Singh and his story, like how he was born and what kinds of things led you to Ability Innovations with his story.
So it's kind of a wild story. So the way from how it started was like Elaine didn't even know she was pregnant until she was coming near the end of her first trimester. It's funny because we've been trying for quite a while, about like 5 years.
We had a lot of trials, and we had infertility issues, and it was just like a roller coaster. Everything happened in God's time, and it made us, I believe, through those struggles, made us stronger to be able to take on everything that's happened with Singh. And we're just very blessed and honored to be his parents.
Yeah, and so you just kind of found out that you were pregnant.
Yes. It was so funny, though, because my first appointment with OBGYN, they were like, your name sounds so familiar. And I was like, oh, because we're here for IVF. I was scheduled for IVF. And they were like, but now you're pregnant. So it just so happened to be like, you know, like just for my IVF appointment, we were pregnant. It just kind of worked. Yeah, it worked out.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
It's funny, like, because I know she was like stressing out pretty much every month she would test. And I was like, why are you stressing? Like one time I was like, you know what, just stop testing because you're stressing yourself out. And it turns out like, oh, like 3 months later, it's like, oh.
Yeah, the month that I did not test.
That's always how it happens. That's always how it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
but yeah, so she just like, we're just sleeping, and then she went to the bathroom. Next thing you know, she was like just screaming really loud. Yeah, and I thought she was like there's just like I was running, like I thought there was like blood everywhere or something. It's like showing up here, like it's like what's going on?
The worst.
Yeah.
And really, they were screams of joy.
Yes, they were. The truth is, I was so happy, but I was so terrified at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was more like, oh, wow, we're going to be parents.
Finally happening. And, and now I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, but that same week, actually, when we found out we were pregnant, I was bleeding. And so we had to rush to the ER. And so from the very beginning of my pregnancy, it was already a difficult journey because we were already high risk for miscarriage. There were already complications that the OBGYN saw in the scans. But Singh was a miracle from the very beginning. And no one ever thought he would make it. Yeah, and I didn't even know I was pregnant. The reason why I didn't have this regular, you know, the typical symptoms of like pregnant women where like they have nausea. I had a cough attack at work. And that's how I was just like, man, everyone was afraid I had COVID and I was seeing patients. And so they thought, they put me on steroids and everything because we never knew I was pregnant. I was like, no, there's no, like, I didn't expect to be pregnant. And it just so happened I was flying because at that time I was working in Guam. My husband was stationed in Guam. And I was supposed to fly out that weekend to represent my office to a different island. And I just thought, oh, I'll just take a pregnancy test just because, I'm flying out tomorrow.
Yeah, might as well check.
And that's when we found out. And then my physician was like, you are not flying. Like you're having a hard time breathing already. You're not going to be flying. You're at high risk. You're pregnant. And so we didn't take that risk. But that same week we ended up in the ER. So it was just a lot of things going on. Yes.
So a lot of hard things right at the beginning.
Yes, at the very beginning.
But he made it through the pregnancy, and were there any other complications during the pregnancy?
Throughout the pregnancy, I would say she didn't really eat anything, except she, at one point, I think it's like I called her selfish because she only eats one slice of bread a day. And it's like, I understand you don't want to eat.
It was
but it's like, you still have to eat. It's like, if you don't eat for yourself, at least eat for the baby. So it's like, what do you want to eat? It's just like, she was like, cherries, all the fruits. I was like, those are the rich people food on the island.
Well, we're going to have to find cherries somewhere.
Yeah, so they're really expensive there. It's like for a quarter of a bag, and they ran us like $24, $25. And yeah, it's like, and because, everything is shipped there. So like half the bag was like kind of rotten. And
it still cost $25.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, yeah, man, that's one expensive baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't even eat or smell. It just made me really nauseated, like smelling meat. So the only thing I could really eat was fruits and vegetables. And that was pretty much it, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, Nihn called Sing a rich, mommy ate rich people's food. We could barely afford it, but it was,
And that's why we treat him like royalty now. Yeah.
He's $1 million baby, though.
He's $1 million baby.
Yeah. He's bougie.
He's bougie. I love it.
Yeah. But then I think what happened was, as far as complications were concerned, our friend, my husband is more of like an introverted person, and he didn't want to be the center of attention. He didn't really want to do a gender reveal, but
Gotcha.
I had really good friends that were like, no,
we need to do it.
Yeah, and they already know our story that we had such a hard time getting pregnant, and they were like, you guys don't have to do anything. We'll do everything for you. Just go get your scan and just have the radiologist write it in a piece of paper and put it in an envelope, and you don't even have to look at it. You just give it to us and we'll take care of everything. And so that's actually where our journey began with Sing. I was getting off work and I went to my appointment, and I was the most happiest, I think, pregnant woman there, because I was just, so thrilled that, hey, I can't believe we're here. We're at our 20th week.
Yeah.
The beginning of that week, I was actually having discharge already. And I was seeing a lot of patients, and I was the only dentist at work. So I couldn't leave the office, or else my whole office shuts down. And so I was like, oh, well, anyway, I'll pull through until that appointment. And so on Friday, when we had that appointment, the radiologist, the first thing she said to me when she entered the room and she scanned me, because I was talking about how excited I was about this pregnancy, the very first thing she told me, it wasn't congratulations. It was like, have you had a miscarriage before?
Yeah.
And my heart just...
And you're like...
Yeah, that was the very first thing she told me. And that was, Nihn was there, and we just didn't say anything. And she said, I have to call the on-call physician, and we just knew something was wrong. But the craziest thing is that, at that 20 week, that was the very first time, imagine that same instant when she said, have you had a miscarriage before? And she left the room to go find the on-call physician. That was the first time I felt Sing move. And it was the craziest
from the womb,
thing.
He's saying, no, I'm here.
Yes. And it was just more of at peace that, hey, he's here, he's alive, and I don't know what it was, but it just felt like the most amazing thing that, hey, he's part of our family. And even though we haven't met him yet, there was just love there, and it was just the craziest thing.
Yeah. I was like, really? Let me feel like he's doesn't move from me at all.
Yeah. And every time his dad's
are you sure?
Yeah. And so after that, the radiologist told us, like, you have to go see your OBGYN right away. And our OBGYN saw us. And the funniest thing is she was like, oh, we're just checking. You don't have anything to worry about. Like, we're just making sure he's okay. And I just so happened to be one of the very rare percentage in this world that had a very complicated pregnancy. And they told us, like, right there and then in that exam room, the bad news that they told us that, you are most likely going to lose this baby.
Yeah, they said, like, they tested for the flu, and they're like, the test came back positive for amniotic fluids.
Yeah.
And so they said it's most likely the amniotic sac has like
a rupture in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
It was.
Because you're like,
really
but
scary.
I just felt him move.
Yes. And that was the crushing, like, most devastating feeling.
Yeah, and during that time, they said she was already dilated.
I was already, so what happened was my amniotic sac was bulging out of my cervix already.
Oh, already.
And they are like, you are only like,
20 weeks.
20 weeks and you're already reaching preterm labor, like, so fast that, like, this baby can come in at any time. For those, who know that viability for a child is, the youngest, I believe, right now in the world is like 21 weeker. The hospital at that time won't even fly us because their protocol is that you have to be viable. The baby has to be viable for us to be able to fly you, And at that time, at 20 weeks, we weren't.
Yeah. I think their protocol is like 22 weeks minimum.
Yeah. And so a lot of miracles happened. It was like bad news after another. But that's when we really saw, like, how we weren't alone in this journey.
Right.
Like, God had a master plan this whole entire time. A storm was coming to Guam. And because of the storm, they decided to fly us earlier, like a week earlier. Right?
No, it's I think 3 days earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they decided to fly you because of the storm. Wow.
Yeah.
Because they said it was one of the biggest, like, a major storm that's is on the way from the Philippines to Guam.
And we were in the hospital. There was actually an earthquake in the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what was that?
So a lot of things were happening at the same time. And so, it was a crazy journey. And they first thought we were supposed to go to Japan because Guam was closer to Japan. And it was like a longer flight. I believe it was like to Hawaii, right?
To Hawaii was 8 hours. To Japan was 4 hours.
Yes. But they also, we had the most amazing team. Our neonatologist, like, I'll never forget what she told me. She said, it always happens to, like, the best of parents, sadly. But she said, like, I don't want you guys to lose hope. And she really fought for us, like, and so everything got done really, really fast. I was on, they placed me on bed rest for the entire, few days I was there in Guam. But because of COVID regulations at that time, we weren't allowed to have visitors because COVID regulations was still in place at the Naval Hospital. So when I flew out of Guam, I never had the opportunity to say goodbye to my staff.
Any of your
to any of my friends.
Yeah.
And so but everyone was praying that we make it, because when they told us was that I could deliver, there's still a possibility I could deliver on flight. And if that happens, there's nothing they can do for my baby. Like, they would only try to make sure I was okay. And I was fighting an infection. And it really hurt when they said that, if your infection gets worse, there's no other choice. We have to remove this baby to save your life. And so it was just
so many strikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things happening.
It was the team was amazing. They were incredible. Like,
Yeah, because they were trying to get us to Japan, but then they came back with the bad news. And like, it's not that they can't make it; they won't accept anybody below 24 weeks.
yeah. So not every hospital will resuscitate your baby if they, especially when it's so early. And you have to make sure it's also the level of the NICU, like that's capable to take care of your child. And neonatologists would tell you what is the standard quality of care as well. And so there's so many factors that play in, like whether or not they would resuscitate. And yeah, we were just so fortunate because the earliest survivor, the youngest survivor, from what we were told in Guam, was a 26 or 27 weeker.
27.
Yeah, but they told us, like, if your child was born here, he has no chance of surviving. And it was really, really scary. And when we flew, right?
Yeah, because they said even if he was born here and they do resuscitate him, he would have to go through all the trauma of like going in a flight and flying to either Japan or Hawaii. Which is a long journey, and there's the risk of brain bleed and
all those things. Yeah,
especially during the flight and the high elevation. And so we were just fortunate to make it to Hawaii. And the truth is, when we were in Guam, when they told us, like, hey, would you guys want to keep fighting for this child? I remember them talking about all the complications, about disability, quality of life. And I don't know, there's just this feeling when you're a mom to be that, hey, like, I really want to do everything I can to have him survive,
Yeah.
And at that time, it was hard for Nihn, I think, because when he was explained about disabilities and like quality of life, my husband was more, I don't want him to suffer, And when we were in Guam, he was like, no, we will just let him sleep if he does decide to like come early, But for me,
that's the protector.
Yeah.
He is like, what kind of life would he have if he's not able to like enjoy anything that life has to offer? Even like if it's like minor disability, if he can still like, still think for himself and whatnot, then which is okay. The physical portion, it's like we can work with it. But if he's gonna come out and he pretty much like no quality of life, he can't eat or drink or pretty much do anything. So it's not much.
What a hard decision to have to even consider, right? As new parents.
It was really, it was a really difficult time for us, but it was also, through the tragedy, it was also a beautiful story that came out of it, a very inspiring story that I'm so blessed to share. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to share Sing's story. But when we arrived in Hawaii, I was actually like, they had a hard time giving me I still have trauma about getting IVs now, because you have to have like an 18 gauge working IV when you fly over, and you have to have 2 of them that's like there. And they were like trying to give me the IV from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. in Guam. They just couldn't get it. And so I was so bruised everywhere. And when I got there, my OBGYN was like, you poor girl. And I was
yes.
Yeah. And I was so traumatized that I told her, like, is it possible to make sure if I ever, because, the hospital, if you're admitted in the hospital, you have to always have a working IV. So I requested to have an anesthesiologist to make sure that, they're the ones giving me the IV, because I was just so traumatized from Guam. But when we did arrive in Hawaii, my husband, he was the most supportive and loving. And he was like, the nurses still brag about how great he was, because he would like give me my medication. He would always be
like
there.
Right there.
Yeah, he would always be there. If I needed to use a restroom, he will help me. And he was just the most amazing partner. And I'm so thankful that he did all of that to like, so I wasn't as, even though it was such a stressful situation, like I was so thankful he was so present.
He was right there with you. Yeah.
Present, and he was so loving. And even though I was hurt that he wanted to let, if, which I understand too, that, if Sing came out earlier, that he was wanting to let him just, have like, comfort care, because I really wanted to fight for him. But when we did arrive in Hawaii and the neonatologist first talked to us and they wanted to know where we were about resuscitating, I was about to answer, but he answered for me, and I was just crying because he said,
Yeah, so pretty much I just told, after the neonatologist gave us all the possibilities and the outcome of him being born early, so the quality of life is not going to be there at all. And pretty much they were pretty much leaning towards, no, you should not resuscitate. Mm-hmm. And he's pretty much gonna go through like the NICU and just suffer and then just pass. So why cause more suffering? So we decided, and it's like, we tried hard for to bring Sing here, and when he comes out, depends on if he is very energetic and is very feisty and he looks like he's gonna put up a fight, then we'll go with him.
We're gonna fight too.
But, yeah. So, but if he comes out looking like he's just tired and he wants to rest, then we'll let him rest. Because at that point, there's we can put him through it, and he's just gonna suffer more. Yeah. So, and he doesn't look like, if he doesn't look like has the energy to put up a fight, then it's why are we gonna put him through more suffering? But he came out looking like he wanted to slap everybody in the room. So
yeah,
very energetic.
He came out wiggly.
Yes, yeah. He came out fighting. There was a little scare. He actually stopped breathing for a little bit.
So his whole body and arm, everything just went limp. And we're like, oh, the room just paused for a minute, and while these
dead silence. No one was saying anything.
Yeah, was trying to resuscitate him, and he came back to took a breath, and he just came just swinging his arm.
He started fighting again.
Yes. Yeah.
And now if you look at him and you look at his personality, yes, we are. The truth is, I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. Right. And he's 2 years old now. He is the most happiest 2 years old sick kid. He still has challenges. Mm-hmm. We still have one more surgery that, a big surgery day. We're having 3 specialists come in and do all of the procedures under one anesthesia. But honestly, if you see this kid now, you would have never thought. Yes. No one really could tell us if he was going to be able to walk or talk. And he is doing all of that and more. And so, yeah.
One miracle after another, right?
Yes. And we're just so thankful. And, we wouldn't be where we are today, especially Sing, if it wasn't for Ability Innovations and all of his therapists. Yeah. We did everything we could. He has such an amazing team, amazing family of warriors. I call them these are his real life heroes, from his neonatologist to his nurses to the NICU, to his therapist. So where he is today, if you look at him,
it's honestly, because he's got a whole armada.
Yes, he has a whole army behind him. And so, and everyone has been so loving. I'll never forget one of the most beautiful people I met here in Utah, because the truth is I didn't want to come to Utah. And that's the truth. It's because I don't have family here. We both don't have family here, and we don't have friends here. And so
you came here for military.
Yes, we were stationed here. And yeah, but it had been the most beautiful journey. And honestly, we don't want to go anywhere else. Like now that we're here in Utah and we've seen his medical care team, Primary Children's has been amazing. And the quality of care that he has gotten, not just from the hospital, but also from every therapist that we worked with, even early intervention that comes to our house. Like it is a fight that we fight every single day. You know, it hasn't been easy. There are days that some are harder than some. But, you know, where he is today speaks volumes of how much love he has received from everyone and how powerful, like, you know, prayer really is. And so many people have been rooting for this little guy ever since before he was even born, you know? And yeah.
And even with the last scare, I can tell you my daughters, once we heard about it, my daughters pray for baby Sing all the time.
Oh.
You've got prayers coming from all over, I'm sure. But my daughters are some of those. Yeah. It really has been such an honor to be part of that army of Sing. and then to see him, like when he was just in here before we started, to see him toddling around and interested in everything and just the little light that he is.
Yes, they did tell us that, you know, like Sing is very, you know, because he was so premature. I think I forgot to mention he was 22 weeks and really he's
on record he's 6 days.
Yeah, on record he's 6 days, but really he's like from what his nurses says, like 5 days. But it's just we said like, oh, he's a day ahead because the hospital honestly was telling us they wouldn't resuscitate if he's under 23 weeks. So we're like 22.6, yes. So 22.6, but you know, he was only 1 pound and 2 ounces when he was born, and when his neonatologist told us that his baseline is actually below that because after a couple of days he lost weight, and it was more of like 440 grams, which is 0.97 pounds.
No, because like what happened. So they think it was his baseline because he was so unstable. So they just put him on the way, and the first number that popped up, like, okay, that's it. So they have to like really hook him up to the IV and everything. And because he was so small, the neonatologist,
she wanted
put in
to
some sweats.
Yeah, she said that Sing really gave them a run for their money.
Yes, so really challenged him to push their scale to the limit.
Yeah, and also that's also another miracle in itself because not every hospital carries a 2.0 ET tube. So that's like one of the smallest, actually probably it is the smallest, right? It is the smallest endotracheal tube that is used for resuscitating a premature baby. Mm-hmm. And if it did not fit Sing, there wasn't
anything else.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been any other thing that they could have done for him, you know. And that's why when I say like it's like a miracle after miracle.
Yeah, I mean like they said it was a good snug, but fits. So
yeah, that's all right. They really needed was like to make sure that ET tube fit. Yeah. Yes, and Sing was such a fighter. Like he never. Like in the NICU, he earned the name as like the king of the NICU.
Yeah, he's like the wild child.
In the wild child. Yeah, they have so many names like feisty.
Because he was just a fighter.
Yes, he is.
So yeah, then the NICU was like, it's been a real roller coaster in the NICU. So he's got multiple blood transfusions. Yeah. I think within the first couple weeks. Week.
And also he was on antibiotics for months as well. And he went septic. Mm-hmm. So we weren't allowed to hold him until after like a month of him being in a NICU. And the first time I held him, after I held him, like I think the second day, they told us that he needs to be reintubated, and because he was septic, he became septic, and no one could tell us anything because I think it was like really cold in that room because you could just know that there was something wrong. We watched before our eyes Sing's color changed, and it became pale white, and we knew we were just hoping he would he would pull through, and he did.
Yeah, I think they said at that point his blood glucose was like 581, 582.
Ridiculous. It
It's
was
super low.
yeah, it was
enough to put an adult into a coma. But yeah, survival rate at that time, they were saying was less than 1%.
yes.
So
And so
He fought through that too.
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So
And I actually got COVID like a couple of days, or we don't even know if it's like when I delivered him or after, but like a couple of days I was having chills. And so I couldn't see him for like a week and a half, right, babe? Yeah, because so it was really hard for me because I remember asking Nihn, because Nihn went to the NICU first before I could. And I asked him, how is he? And I remember, I will never forget this. Nihn told me, was like, his fingers are the size of uncooked rice.
it was really small because
Teeny tiny fingers.
it's very like if you take like just a jasmine rice grain, and that's legitimately his finger size. I was like, that is
And
So small.
I could not believe it. And his nurse sent me a photo, and that's the photo I use and on our Instagram page. It's like this photo of the size of a pen. And that was Sing. And it's just insane how
So he's next to a ballpoint pen.
yeah,
pretty much.
a little bit longer, but I mean, it's just that's just like how tiny he was. But he is the mightiest warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're just so thankful.
Yeah, and he's still a little guy. For
Yes,
a
he
2-year-old.
is. He is still a little guy. I mean, like the beginning of the year, his doctors were saying like he's not even in the growth chart.
it was like
He might have his own growth chart.
yeah, it's like not even
Yes.
the 1 percentile. He's done the 0.5 percentile.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
And
okay.
he might be like that for a while, but he's still a fighter.
He
You can
is.
totally see that in him. Like he's still like I remember at the other clinic, I was rolling a ball to him and he would just go for it. He's like, I'm not letting that ball get away from me. He'd scoot on over to it. Now he's just running around.
I don't think he knows there's anything wrong. Like to him, he's just he's
in
like,
his mind, there's nothing
hey,
wrong.
I'm doing amazing. And he is. And honestly, like if I was going to tell people about my son, like he is the most determined little fella. Like I love it how his, when I know some of his therapists are like, oh, I don't want to push him too much. And I was like, no, push him, because he is like the type of guy, like, even though it is like a little bit challenging and a little bit difficult for him, but he doesn't give up. And we're so like, I'm so thankful that my husband is very hands-on too. Like, even though he doesn't make therapy, like, because he has to work, like he comes home and he tells me, what did you guys do in therapy today? Let me know what exercises we need to do. And so we're very consistent. And I love his therapists because they say like, it's so great working with Sing because we see results and we know he works really hard.
He's a determined
Yes.
kid. That's
Yes.
probably one of his superpowers.
Yes, he is a very determined kid. He will take no for he won't take no for an answer. He's even though his favorite word right now is no to everything.
Yeah, it's like he said, it's like, do you want something? Like, no. It's like, you mean yes? Like, no.
Yeah. So, but yes, like we are very thankful. Like he's been Utah has been an amazing place to have, like, our first home with Sing. It's because like we put him in every single therapy there was. We love Ability Innovation. You guys have been with us from the very beginning,
Right.
since we moved here to Utah.
Yeah, before he was even able to roll. Right?
And I know he's had a couple of scares this beginning of the year. We had to call 911 because he stopped breathing, and he had some seizures as well. But yeah, like, we weren't able to come to Ability because he was just so immunocompromised that, he was getting sick every single month. But honestly, this kid, like, we're just so happy to be where he is today. It took a long time,
Right.
but I mean, and we're still working at it. But if you look at him, he is just a miracle, a walking testimony of like how like, powerful if you're just like determined to live the way Sing has. And he lives life to the fullest. I mean, for the guy that he is, like he is like, like we try our best, But honestly, he's stronger than the both of us. That's the truth.
Well, and when we were working with him, like here and at the other place too, like that's the thing that I always remember about him when I would see you guys come is that he's a hard worker. Like he'll be with the therapist and he's doing everything that he can. You know, they never said like that they couldn't get him to do anything. He was always just trying it out, going for it. And he's still like that. That'll probably see him through for a long time. Like I said, that's probably one of his superpowers. One question that I have for you guys is, what do you think your superpower is, having, been with Sing throughout this whole amazing adventure? What kinds of powers do you think you guys have nurtured or created?
For me, I think just being more encouraging for him and not like, I see him like sometimes he'll be tired, but it's like, I know you have more energy left, so keep pushing. And just pretty much encouraging him and just being with him and like, just give him positive feedbacks and what he's doing, but without like too much positive feedback to where he's like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. So it's like just enough balance. It's a balance to where he's
but you still bolster him up a little bit.
Like, you could do better.
Yeah.
So
come on, buddy.
Yeah. I think to be honest, like I don't know what my superpower is, but I can say about my husband how he's the coolest dad. And he even told me before Sing was born, was like, remember, I'm going to be the coolest dad and you're going to be the strict mom. Yeah. And, Nihn has been very present as a dad. Like Sing listens to his dad more, and I'm telling you, there is a difference. How kids
he interacts with you.
Yes, how he interacts with moms and the dad. And I always tell him, so he gives me a hard time, and he's like, he's the easiest kid. I was like, no, it's so different because I think that kids feel so comfortable with mom that they can share all of their hard feelings, like big feelings that they don't want to share with dad. So yeah, but he's so like the funniest guy, and Sing loves his dad because he's just like the coolest, very chill dad, and he loves like having activities with his dad. Like he loves being on his dad's back and just like running around the park or even those simple things. And so it's just the one thing that our goal is as a family is that hopefully when Sing does get stronger, because right now he's not strong enough yet for daycare. And if he was going to go to daycare, his pulmonologist says he's going to be sick all the time, So we're still waiting till maybe, like she said, the best time maybe is for next summer. And I haven't worked for, ever since Sing was born. And, honestly, like, I don't regret it, even though I sometimes wish I could have balanced it, but he needs me right now and he needs Nihn. And so if I was going to say, yeah, maybe my superpower was like working through Sing, like having to manage every single specialty, medical specialists, like he has a ton. And having to do all of those appointments, medical appointments on top of therapy appointments and to stay consistent. And that was like the one thing I really wanted to do for him. I wanted to make sure, yes, it is. It's like our schedule is so crazy. Like even after this, like we have to get his immunization shots. So we're always like on the go. But I think that's like my superpower is that I was able to like manage having all of his specialty care, not missing an appointment unless we really have to reschedule if he is really sick. And that's one thing, like, that's what I really love about Ability Innovation is that they understand our situation. They don't just brush us off. Right. And that's what I'm very thankful for his therapist because they see us work too. It's like, we put in the work as well. We don't just like be like, oh yeah, like, like what's convenient for us. No, it's never about what's convenient for us parents. Like we want to do what's best for our child. We want to do what's best for Sing. And honestly, I want him to grow up when he's able to talk and walk and play like the other kids, that's our goal. Like, yes, I want him to look back and I want him to know that mom and dad did everything they could
every opportunity,
every resource that's available in the state of Utah, every therapy there was. Like, we did everything we could, even if we paid out of pocket, even if we had to spend like a lot just so he could be where he is today. And that's one thing I want him to know, that he was so loved by everyone, especially by us. Like, we wanted to give him, we didn't want to we didn't want to limit him to anything. Like, he could do anything he wants in this world. And that's one thing we want for him, is that him to know that he is loved and supported. Yes.
Beautiful. And that is so obvious that you guys are those kind of parents. Like, we see that too. Yeah. I definitely champion that, because there are so many families like you guys that they're just going, trying to get their kids into everything. And it's hard. And you guys,
there's no sleep.
Keep doing it. There's no sleep. There's no reduction in stress level sometimes. And you guys have to deal with a lot. But you have given everything for that little guy. And he's worth it, right?
He is. And parents are aware, especially moms out there who feel like, this is like the hardest thing. Like, I honestly didn't think I needed therapy myself. And I want to bring mental awareness that, it's really important for moms. If you feel like, you're going through postpartum depression, I was in denial for the longest time. Like, even when I was in Hawaii, people kept asking me if I was okay. And I kept saying I was fine, just because I was afraid to say I wasn't okay, because I was afraid that they would take my child away. And those feelings are so real. Pretty much, like, I was going through postpartum depression, and I was in denial. And my husband told me, like, hey, this is not like good for Sing. You need to take care of yourself. When I say this, I just want to be very transparent about it. And when I say this, like, I wasn't showering. I wasn't taking a bath for weeks. I wasn't taking care of myself. And it was the hardest thing, because I just always wanted to put Sing first, but I didn't realize that my own health was declining. A lot of special needs parents go through this, and I just want to make sure that to let them know that, hey, you're not alone, because I felt alone. I really did. And I'm so thankful that when we came here to Utah, I had a good team that was like, hey, Elaine, you need to go start doing therapy. And to this day, like, it's been like a year and a half now since I started therapy. And it has been the most beneficial, especially having to be in a high level stress every single day. And also having to go through multiple surgeries with Sing. It's important for moms to know that it's okay. It's okay to seek help. I was so like in a mental state that I was really embarrassed to even share that, hey, I was having suicidal thoughts. And even though, I really thought like, hey, this couldn't be me, because I'm so grounded on my faith, and I love Jesus, and like, I know he loves me too. And it was just one of those things where I was like, why am I having these thoughts? But people need to understand, like, hey, postpartum depression is real. And even though you may be you are grounded in your faith, sometimes like you need help. You still need help, and I was just so thankful my husband like was understanding. I wouldn't say it was easy. Really, Sing has been the biggest blessing in our lives, but also this journey has taken a toll even in our marriage. And that's a truth. And
there's a lot of things that are sacrificed.
Yes. It's just because, if you're having to bring your child to the ER several times in a year, and at the same time, you both don't have sleep, and you just want to like lash out. Sometimes I know it's just so crazy to say this, but it is the most stressful thing to deal with, having to make sure your child stays alive. And also having to do it without sleep, with the lack of sleep, and
day after
day. And so I just want to encourage moms who are having to deal in the similar situation as us, like, hey, seek help. I do go to therapy once a week. I see a psychiatric nurse. And it's, if you are a NICU mom, they did tell me that, hey, a lot of NICU moms do suffer from PTSD after with everything that they've been through in the NICU. And that's okay. You know, I mean, I wish we didn't have to go through this. I mean, no parent should. It is the most like crushing, like I wouldn't even, how do you describe it? Like no one deserves, even not, I wouldn't even wish this upon my worst enemy, you know, if I ever had one. But like, that's what, one of the things I want to let parents know is that like, it wasn't easy. It never was easy. But that's what Singh's story has inspired so many NICU moms. Like, I don't even have a large following on my Instagram because I wanted to keep it small. Just because I remember when I was going through a very hard time, I reached out to a mom, but she had a really huge following, and I never got a response. I never got a response back. And that really, to be honest, like when you're like such a desperate mom that you wanted someone to talk to about it and they couldn't respond back to you, it kind of hurt, you know? And so it was really my goal to keep our following small because I have NICU moms that reach out to me and I'm able to respond right away. And I'm able to respond because they're like in the NICU going through exactly the same thing we went through. And for them to tell us that Singh has given them hope, like I felt like that was like so beautiful for us to be a part of their story, even though we're so far away from where they are. But for them to like, you know, just look at Singh and be like, oh, our baby can walk too one day, you know, because if this baby can, our baby can too.
There's hope there, you know? Yeah.
And so that's the most beautiful part of this journey is that we met the most amazing people, and not just in the medical field, but even like other NICU families, and how they're saying they inspire us, but no, they inspire us. Like, but we inspired them, but they inspire us more, you know? Exactly. And so it's like a shared like story that it's like such a beautiful thing to be a part of.
And it's interesting because I've heard it kind of said that you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're constantly pouring and pouring and pouring, and you want to give everything to Singh, and you're still finding more that you can give to other people and to help them when they need a little extra. And then you have to get a little extra for you too, because you have to be able to fill your own cup. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, you can help more people. So I love how you've kind of made that work. And it's just amazing. We all need each other. We all are a community. I mean, a world community too, but your community is benefiting from you and Singh and Nihn, and we have benefited from you guys too. Just interacting with you guys has always been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And we're grateful.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to share with families out there?
Yeah, just don't give up. No, it's going to be a lot of trial and tribulations, a lot of heartache and headache. It's going to be very challenging. And frustrating. You will be pushed to your limit.
Not just personally.
Just personally, but it's, you know, but you just have to push through it and look at the positive side. No, just do your best that you can as a parent, and no regrets.
And that's enough. Yeah.
And no regrets.
No regrets.
I think for me, it's also moms should trust themselves, even if they are not in the medical field. Like, I'm thankful I'm familiar because as a dentist, we have a lot of like medical experience too. But one thing I noticed is that even in the medical field, they don't have all the answers. And that's one thing I need to be sure to be clear about. Like, I have a friend whose daughter has cerebral palsy, and she's in a wheelchair, and she has been the most amazing mom that I can reach out to at any time, because 47 years ago, that's how old her daughter is now. Yeah. But 47 years ago, I'm sure they would have, like, you know, when her baby was born, she was telling me that the doctors don't know what to do. You know, the doctors say that like a lot of things that they were doing for her was hopefully to benefit her, but it was also experimental. And so that's one thing that I benefited from her sharing that, because being a 22 weeker, there's not that many 22 weekers out there in the world. And so I think it helped me be very patient when I talk to doctors, but at the same time, it also helped me like advocate for my child, because they don't know everything that's going on with him, and that's like, one story I just wanted to share before, we leave here, is that I remember he was admitted in the hospital in June because he had COVID and he wasn't eating. And so when he was admitted, they discharged us when they were like, oh, your baby's fine. But see, that's the thing. Sing smiles for everything. Like, he's always a happy kid. And so everyone always thinks he's fine.
He's just okay.
But mom and dad, they know their child the best, And so when we got home, we just got discharged from the hospital, right, babe? We just got discharged. And he was still having like 103, 105 fevers. And I was like, no, this is not okay, And so we went back to the hospital the following day. And I remember the medical resident, right, babe?
Like, you guys were just here yesterday.
Yeah, he was just literally you guys were just here yesterday and you guys were discharged, And he said, and your baby looks fine. And I'm like, no, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I just know he was still having fevers. We didn't sleep through the night. And I'm so thankful he called his attending, because they ran all the tests. And his attending told me, moms really do know best, because after the scans came, the radiographs came, it shows that Sing had pneumonia and it needed to be treated. And so she's like, no, you did the right thing. We are so thankful you came back. Because he could have, like, especially with Sing.
Mother's intuition.
Yes, it is mother's intuition, and not only that, it's just like also what the second thing that happened is like this recent obstacle that we're having. That's why we're needing surgery next month. Is that when I kept telling his doctors, like, hey, my son does not sleep. And he's almost 2 years old. He's 2 years old now. But during this time, I was telling them, I was like, no, you know how they always tell you, like, oh, don't worry, parents. It's just a temporary thing. Like, your baby will sleep through the night and you're going to be the happiest parent ever.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. We have been at this marathon of not having sleep. And sometimes I'm afraid that he's going to work. And his work is, I probably shouldn't, he doesn't want to probably say, but yeah, he's a military cop. And so it's a very stressful environment for him to work in as in security forces. But yeah, I worry about him because he has not slept.
On low sleep.
Yes, yeah. On low sleep. And so, but the thing is, like, that wasn't normal. Like, I really thought, like, it wasn't normal that my child, even now, does not sleep, And so I was thankful that one doctor specifically listened to us, because all the other doctors were like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, it's just a temporary thing. He'll get through it. And then now that we did a sleep study, we found out that Sing is pretty much severe, and that's why he needs surgery now. And so It's just one of those things I want to let parents know, hey, you know your child the best. Don't let any other medical professional who only sees them for like 45 minutes that day or like over the month tell you that, you don't know anything.
Yeah, they just get a snapshot.
Yes.
But you have mother's intuition.
Yes.
And you just have to have a little patience for the doctors, but you also have to be an advocate, right?
Yes, yes. And we love our medical team. Don't get us wrong. We really love our doctors. We do. Our son wouldn't be where he is right now if it wasn't for his nurses and his doctors. But also parents play a big, huge role in your child's care. And the truth is, it's like, my husband thought I was crazy. Like, really, he thought I was paranoid.
You're still crazy.
Yes. And it's hard. And so that's the reason why, like, I know, like, in couples, like, a lot of tension between couples is like, like, oh, you're probably crazy because he's fine, Whatever it is, moms, I just want to let a mom know out there, like, if you feel like hey, there's your gut feeling that there's something wrong.
Follow it through.
Yes, you're most likely right. It's been 2 years, over 2 years now. It's been 2 years and 2 months, and I have not been wrong once. And so, I mean, I wish, the truth is, I wish I was wrong. I really wish he didn't have all of these things that, I had a gut feeling that it was, but that I just want to make sure that, if this is our reality, and if you're a spouse out there who feels like your other spouse is not listening to you, I'm sorry, that's like the suckiest position to be in, but do what's right for your child. If you really have a gut feeling, even if your husband or your wife doesn't believe you, stick to it. Go. You could be saving their life. You could be saving their life.
Better safe than sorry.
Yes, because if we didn't go through what we went through, and we weren't as if I wasn't as persistent as I was, it could have affected. They even told us it could have affected his neurological development and his cardiac development, and that's huge. And so, it's really important that parents need to know that you have to be an advocate for your child.
Yeah, you can't be shy with a baby like singing.
Yes.
Yeah, I thank you for saying that. And I totally agree. Like, parents are the best advocates for their kids. And we just want to champion parents like you. Well, you're champion parents. Both of you are like those kinds of parents that we want to put a spotlight on, maybe 3 or 4 in this room. But thank you guys. And thank you for sharing your story with us. And thank you for having us be a part of Sing's amazing adventure of life. It's been such a joy to see you guys and to see Sing and to be part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being part of our family. You guys really are family to us now.
Yeah, and little prayers going his way.
One that I do like to add, though, for the parents out there, when you go through the CPR class for toddlers or infants, take those seriously. Because you never know when you're going to use it. I mean, I never thought I would.
They teach you that in the hospital, and you never know when you're going to have to use it.
So,
my husband, Nihn, actually had to be the one, because I was numb when I was frozen. It froze me. Like I was like in shock when Sing needed to be Sing stopped breathing, and his color was changing, and it was actually my husband who gave him rescue breaths while I was calling a dispatcher to come. And so, so I'm just so thankful that he was so quick to act.
It's one of those perishable skills. You just have to run through your head, worst case scenarios, and it played out just right.
Yeah, that's why they do it. Well, thank you guys again. And I hope that we can find some nuggets of joy for other parents in this story, but I'm sure that they will, because there's so much that you guys have shared. Thank you so much. And tune in next time for our Therapy Unmasked.